I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let me start out the meeting going over the mission of the City of Craig is providing exceptional service, enhancing the quality of life, and preserving our cultural values while investing for the future. With that said, Katie, will you take a roll call?
Councilwoman Gottschall?
Here.
Councilman Duran?
Here.
Councilman Jackson?
Here.
Councilman Looper?
Here.
Councilwoman Camp? Councilman Tucker?
Here.
Mayor Nichols?
Here. And may I show for the record that Councilwoman Camp did notify me she was unavailable for this meeting. So with that said, I take a motion to excuse her absence.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Gottschall made a motion to excuse Councilwoman Camp absent, seconded by Councilman Looper. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Andrea is excused. Call the September 23rd, 2025 City Council meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Item A is approval of the minutes from September 9th, 2025 regular council meeting. Item B, approval of the bills through September 18th in the amount of $637,156. Item C, approval of the Economic Development Advisory Committee's EDAC recommendation to reappoint Committee Chair Chris Jones, Committee Vice Chair Sasha Nelson, and Member-at-Large Deborah Fitch for another 3-year terms to serve on EDAC. Council, what's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Second.
Councilman Duran made a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, second by Councilman Jackson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda is approved. Item 2, the agenda. Approval of the agenda for September 23rd, 2025 regular council meeting.
Make a motion to approve the agenda for September 23rd, 2025.
Second.
Councilman Jackson made a motion to approve the agenda for September 23, second by Councilman Looper. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda stands as presented. Presentations, number 3, Rebecca Greenwood to present an update on the Senior Social Center's programming and happenings. Welcome, Rebecca.
Hi.
Second time today I've seen you.
I know. I'm going to change it up next time where I have it
Okay.
so you can see me twice.
You did a great job at the commissioners, so
Well, thanks.
easy stuff.
I really appreciate y'all letting me come and talk and kind of just celebrate the work that the Senior Social Center does and just thank our community for just connecting us and being part of everything and learning about us. So the Senior Social Center is about making connections. And so it's whether it's through, just life, community, volunteerism, it just instills a purpose and happiness and dignity and fellowship and friendship when people come and they unite there. And there's just so many things to do. We do provide a gathering place. There's opportunities to stay active, engaged, to have fun, and to find help and to find belonging. People play games, they do coffee, they go swimming, they work out in the gym, they take classes on art, cooking, sewing, music, tax prep, dancing, yoga. Rock hounding is actually one of our great groups. We have about 16 to 20 that show up for our rock hounding group, and they go out to the BLM and search for stuff. It's really an active group. They come from Bags to Maybell and just all over and unite together. Our Music Makers has been a really fun group. It started as someone that was going to help teach chords on the guitar, and the first day we had an accordion player show up and a ukulele player, and sometimes I have to take lunch, but they do a really good job, and it's fun. And they went to Sand Rock twice over the last couple months and played for the residents there, and it's just been a great opportunity, just a really great fun way to connect. And that group is growing, and we have more and more people all the time. So I do have a great committed board, and I have some of them here if you all want to stand up. I have Erin, she's our president. We have Kathy. We have Karen, which is our newest board member, and she's just been great and has a wealth of knowledge. And then Janelle, and they're very utilized and important to us, and I just appreciate them so much. And then I have Kristen here. She's my left-hand gal because she's left-handed, but she's just been instrumental for me and helps me in so many ways. But she is our resource navigator. We also just hired, just this last week, a bilingual resource navigator, a temporary position as long as we have the funding, for someone that speaks Spanish so that they can reach out and connect to that demographic. It's been 11 years since we were established, and we grow all the time. We had 776 unique clients in 2024, and then we had people that actually came in and signed in when they came and participated in something, 8,278, and not everybody signs in. People just don't like to sign in, so we served actually a lot more than that, I'm sure. We also are growing financially, and with that, our program grows. So in 2020, our budget was $67,206. This year's fiscal budget is $256,894.21. And so it's growing, but we grow fiscally responsible. We keep a really good reserve, and when we start a program or ask for funding for a program, we're looking at the big picture of how that can succeed, how it can maintain itself, and how it, and not like fly by night programs. And so we're always looking for ways to make things stable and secure. And our funding, most of our funding comes from the Area Agency of Northwest Colorado on Aging, and 40% of those funds come and support our Medicare SHIP program, which I'll talk a little bit more about that. That's such a vital program. We get matching funds and other program funds from Yampa Valley Community Foundation, from HRC, from the city and the county, from Yampa Valley Electric, and CHAFA has funded us in some form the last couple years. And then whenever there's another opportunity to look for a grant, I will do that. And this last year, we were very lucky. This fiscal year, we got some funding for Anschutz and from a new foundation called the Simmons Foundation that we're building a relationship with. And then Next 50, we got $50,000 this fiscal year for our Resource Navigator program. And that program is so vital. It kind of developed out of a gentleman that came in several times, and he was just kind of beside himself, didn't know how to find the resources that he needed, how to find help, and he'd been to a lot of different agencies and was frustrated and saying that, they just don't have time to help me. They just send me to the next place. And so, there's some other organizations that do some similar things like the Health Partnership, but people don't, especially in our demographic, don't know to go to the Health Partnership, but they know to ask the Senior Social Center what kind of resources or what kind of help that they need. We also, our fundraiser is this Saturday, our wine tasting art show, Better with Age. And that's the way that we fund some stuff that otherwise we wouldn't be funded because it's not part of our grants, like food for our potlucks, food for our lunch and learns, food for any other kind of event that we have that we're sharing with people, and just kind of those extra ad hoc projects and programs that we have. The food for our regional picnic that we just had. And those are just kind of like some of the fun stuff that we do, and just kind of an ad of what the Senior Social Center looks like. Our Medicare SHIP program, like I said, is really vital. It's really robust. We serve Moffat County and we serve Rio Blanco County. And the state has like a target number of how many clients that they would like us to serve. And when I go to when we have our monthly meetings, multiple times I hear other agencies, other counties complaining about this target number and how it's unattainable and it's unrealistic and how frustrated they are. And we've already, we quadrupled that the last 2 years, actually this last year, and then we almost did the year before. And I think we'll even do better this year. So we just serve a lot of people, and a lot of it's word of mouth. Sometimes it's a little too much. I need more volunteers, but there's just so many people it impacts. Like one that happened in the last year is I had a gentleman that had been on Medicare, and they were kind of letting Medicaid, run during the pandemic, and they weren't like always looking at when that should be cut off. And he had turned 65 and should have changed to Medicare, and then got like a Medicare savings program, which is like dual Medicare, Medicaid. But he had cancer, he was doing treatments, he was doing chemotherapy, and they actually cut off his Medicaid. And so he had no coverage like that next month. And so we were trying to get him coverage as soon as possible. When you sign up for Medicare, you can, it takes effect the next month as long as you have, either you're in your open enrollment or you have special circumstances. And so since he lost Medicaid, he has special circumstances. But contacting Social Security Administration, he was unable to get in for 2 months. So what are you going to do if you can't even have a meeting to get the appointment for 2 months, and you need to have your cancer treatments next week if you can. And so we were able to contact a different Social Security Administration office and move that along and get him help. And there's just so many examples of how the Medicare program helps people in our community. And open enrollment starts October 15th through December 7th, and that's where we help people look at and save money on their drug plans and Advantage plans. Our Senior Outreach Services Program. It's a wonderful program. We have about 76 on the list right now. It's so vital. We reach out to homebound seniors. Sometimes it is literally the only contact they have throughout the week that's personal. Someone actually checking on them and seeing how they're doing. I did have someone volunteer recently to kind of just shadow the program, and they suggested that everybody in the city council and everybody in the commissioner's office, anybody in any kind of government, come and volunteer for the day or shadow, because it's just so eye-opening, the need that people have. And it's great to kind of have that visual on someone that you check in with periodically, or because you can see the changes or the needs that they have. You can look at their home and see if maybe there's something that's kind of like a door jamb that's falling down, or they maybe need a railing, or their steps are messed up, and that we can be referred to another program, things like that. Actually, this year we had a couple incidents. One, we had to take someone to urgent care because when they got there, they needed urgent care. About a week later, someone had to go to the hospital, and then I guess about 2 weeks later, it was just all bang, bang, bang. Someone was unresponsive, and we had to call for services, and they did get them back, and it saved his life. And those are extreme circumstances, but those kind of things do happen. And this program also goes and just to encourage people and just build relationships. Our Resource Navigator program, I talked a little bit about that. And so basically the job is to sit down one-on-one with somebody, look at their overall picture, and see what they might need, whether it's getting financial help with LEAP, with utility bills, or free internet, or just a low-cost program to help them in their home, maybe to get handrails, things like that. And then we're also working on getting some volunteers to kind of help some people in their homes, because we've added the Home Modification and Services program. And with that program, I do have a little bit of funding. CHAFA had given us some funding, and so we can, whenever we can, we refer, like partners to Northwest Colorado Health, because they have a program, Northwest Colorado Center for Independence, because they have a program where you could get handrails or ramps, things like that. But we can do some extra stuff, like put a toilet in, or recently we fixed somebody's water heater, so just those kind of things to just help people live more independently in their home. I hope I'm not talking too fast, but I know that you have a lot on your docket, so I'm trying to
You're good.
be conscious of that.
You're good.
And so our Circle Talk program, I love that. It's a mental health focused program to fight isolation. And Janelle, one of our board members, is the facilitator of that. It's just been a great way to connect, to fight isolation, and to help people. We have quarterly provider meetings, so we really want to connect and understand what services are available for older adults in our community. So we have a group of the other organizations that come and connect, and it's been a great way for them to refer to each other and to understand what the other one has to offer and what they can do. And out of that, the last 3 years, we've done an older adult expo. It's a lot like a resource, it's a resource fair, but it's a lot like a health fair, like that you would have at MRH. We have had a great attendance, about 70 to 80 have came the last few years, and it's just been, again, a great way for them to learn resources kind of all at once, but it's been great for our providers too. Usually we have some speakers part of the time, and they learn about each other, and they find it really valuable themselves. And then again, our wine tasting, Better Than Age, it's our only fundraiser throughout the year. It's $25 for the tickets. The city does have some tickets potentially available. I would love to see some of you come. I really appreciate it. Some people think, well, I'm not going to come. That's a senior social center event. But this really is a community event, and we want businesses and organizations to come and find out, the work that we do and support us, to help support us for sure. One fun thing that we do every year is a spa day. So we work with CNCC. They come and they do some facials and some manicures, and then we have some people volunteer to cut hair and massage. Our massage person got sick. That was bad. We're gonna have to reschedule because a lot of people wanted their massage, but it was great to have chair massage. We do tons of events. So we actually just had our regional picnic last week at Loudy Simpson. That's the picture in the middle. But we actually had 100 people show up, about 100 people show up, and it was really big. I had to cook a lot, and I had to go grab more food. It was really good. We even had people from Rand, Colorado, which is kind of by Walden, which I didn't know, but I do now. And they just had a great time. We want everybody to come. Routt County came. We had people out of Meeker. I still need to coordinate with the bus in Bags because, they just don't come in the right day, but we'll work that out. But we have something going all the time. We do collaboration with the Extension Office for cooking classes. We're gonna add more cooking classes. There's always something happening. We do provide food. We're not Meals on Wheels, that's at Sunset Meadows, but we have potlucks the first Tuesday of every month. It's a great way to gather, connect. We supplement some of the food, and we usually have a birthday party, just kind of somebody's birthday that month. And then our lunch and learns are great. We've had really great speakers come in and speak during that, and fun activities, and we provide the food for that. Our art class is really robust. We have some really great artists. If we don't have a teacher, they just kind of come and sit down and have their project and do that. And we have special art projects and crafts throughout the year. Our community garden, it's awesome. It's really looking nice right now if you guys want to come by and take some pictures. We got great flowers. It's going to freeze pretty soon. But we have a cornhole pit there, and it's just a really beautiful area. And anybody can come and get food there that wants to participate. We work with youth volunteerism, and we want to integrate different age groups. So Rocky Mountain Youth Corps comes, the first day they help us with our community garden, and then they go to people's homes and they cut their grass or mow their lawns, or, I guess it's the same thing. But, weed eat and stuff like that, or pull weeds. And it's just a great collaboration that we've had for several years now. The Boys and Girls Club usually comes and does that too, and then they have had a chance to come and play games with us over the last couple years. And I had this one gentleman that plays cribbage on Fridays, and he thought that he was no good with kids. He didn't have any kids of his own, and he was nervous about these. I asked him ahead of time, and he was nervous about it. And once these kids came in, there was a couple of girls that were at his table, plus one other one that came later. And he just enjoyed it so much, and he just loved teaching these kids how to play this game, and he was really looking forward to them coming the next time. We also have our Horizons clients that come on Wednesdays. Wednesdays, Wellness Wednesday, Northwest Colorado Health is at the Catholic Church, so on Wednesdays I have like some free time in the morning, so Horizons usually always comes and uses our gym and just has their lunch there, and they usually come on Fridays also. And that's a nice partnership, and we love all ages. There's no age limit at the Senior Social Center, so we love anybody to join. We have members that are in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 90s. So we do have a really strong partnership with Northwest Colorado Health. I'm really appreciative of them. They do a lot of classes with us. They do a Jerry Fit class, a movement with exercise, and we just started a Tai Chi class, which actually Kristen is teaching. And it's just a way, keep moving and to keep limber and to keep healthy. They also, their wellness nurse comes and checks vitals at our blood pressures and stuff at our picnic, what is it? No, they do that, but they do it at ours. They do it at luncheon, at the potluck. They do it at the potluck every week, every month. And then they also do special classes. So we have like the Healthy Heart and other things like that we've done. Cherry yoga, now that is fun. And it's probably one of our most popular things. And you don't have to get down on the ground. But all of us would probably feel it somewhere, even if we just did our chair yoga. It's a great way to kind of have some fun, but also stretched out. I actually usually don't have time to go to the class. And I was so busy last week, but I was feeling a little stressed out, so I went ahead and went to the class, and it did help. And, okay, so people want to swim, so they really want the sports complex. Just FYI, plug for that. They're big fans, but they want to swim now. They don't want to wait, and they want to swim in the winter. So we have a good group that goes. We partner with Craig Parks and Rec. Last year we had 19 trips go on Tuesday, and then I pay a driver for that to drive that van. And then they want to go more, so we have Northwest Colorado Center for Independence, a partnership with them, and I pay mileage, but they provide the driver. And we did 21 trips last year, and they're coming in every week and asking me when we're starting. I told them I can't start till November, but they want to start now. And then we do have a wonderful gym. We have a full gym. I mean, it's nice. We have 3 pretty new pieces of equipment where you can pretend like you're going through Europe or out in the woods or whatever. We also have a reciprocating bike. That's that one that you first see. They use that a lot in rehab centers. And a lot of the rehab places and facilities send them our way after they run out of PT appointments, especially the hospital. Because, you still need to keep moving and keep exercising. A lot of people that have been sent there or started with that, they end up being part of our other things, and which helps makes connection, fight isolation. So one ladies I can think of, she was having some heart issues and she needed rehab for heart. She started in the gym, and now she's a regular on the Tuesday game night. So just a great way to connect. And so that's really all I have. I wasn't coming to ask for anything. I just want to come and update you and let you know what we're doing. Any questions?
Questions, council? Well, Rebecca, it sounds like you have a very active board, participatory, great involved, wonderful director, and such great programming. And keep that swimming complex on top of your head. We're going to need that later, and we're going to need some campaigners out there, so.
Yeah, sounds good. I was going to ask if there's anyone else that wanted to say anything.
Come on up.
Thank
I'd just
you.
like to add that I'm the community or the county liaison for Moffett County for the AAA, Area Agency on Aging, and that covers Moffett, Rio Blanco, Garfield, and Mesa counties, which is a huge population, a huge geographical area, big demographic, and through my time spent with that group, I have discovered that we have the fullest calendar. We have the most programs, we have the most activities going on of any of those other counties. And those counties also have a food service. So we are screaming ahead with good programming, and I think that's a testament to how we all work together and to the community that we're serving. So that's huge.
Good. Well, keep up the great work. Thank you very much for your presentation. Moving on, item B, Michaela Boko-Smith to present the Advocates Crisis, Trauma, and Survivor Services Acts 2025 budget. Welcome.
Thank you guys for letting me come and present. I am just gonna look at that, so I don't have my computer up here.
Can you blow that up in the?
Yeah, are you able to? I look at it every day, so I'm pretty familiar with it.
You're
but
good?
just so you
Okay.
guys are able to see it. And just kind of, so what we are looking at here is a tool that Catherine Levins was able to provide me a few months ago to really dial down where our expenses were going and whatnot. And since we did not have an adopted 2025 budget up until a couple of months ago, because we did not understand where we financially were, this is what we have adopted as our budget for 2025. You can see there, so every month in gray, obviously are the months that we have already done. Those have been verified, validated information there. And then through September to December, that is the anticipated, what that looks like and what we anticipate to spend. Obviously, we have been making significant changes in our services and in the money that we are spending in our staff. And that is reflected in this current budget and what you guys have in front of you. We, a couple of months ago, several weeks ago, we had about $197,000 gap that we needed to close. We have since, through donations and through, contributions through the city, through the county, we have been able to close that gap. And that shows in this cash flow and whatnot to show kind of what we are going to spend. It goes down to, it breaks it down. A lot of our grants are reimbursable grants. So the cash flow in front of you does show that, the reimbursable expenses versus the other expenses as well. So the ones that are in blue are your reimbursable expenses. And just kind of really breaks it down into each category and where we are spending money. Right now we are not spending any penny that we do not need to spend. That's really just how that has gone. And like I said, those numbers are pretty accurately reflected with all of the money that we saw from the foundations, from you guys, from the county and whatnot. So, yeah, that's, I'm trying to think of what else too. Do you guys have any questions on that, or have you had any questions on that? It's a lot of information. It's been a lot of information for me. Catherine, do you have anything else to add on that? I don't think.
Catherine, you're good? Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I can answer any questions. It should be familiar to you. The Boys and Girls Club actually offered up
Yeah.
this tool for us to use. But it'll actually show you month by month where the cash is going to be. So we
Yeah.
projected a shortfall in August. We knew that. Michaela's pretty new to the board, or to the ED role. She started in April. I came on as treasurer in April, and we started immediately working on this. And so it's been through several iterations, but I think we really know where we're at.
Yeah.
Michaela knows at what point, how much she's gonna need to bring on another person. We don't have any unfunded operations going on. And then we do have the shelter house is going to be on the market. It is not something we can afford to keep. Needs about $300,000 worth of work in order to bring it ADA compliant and also fix some significant issues. That will resolve quite a bit of issues we were having, but also kind of put some money in the coffers to help fund operations next year while we're waiting for grants. And we'll be able to bring back full staff, hopefully, that's the goal.
That's the goal.
Michaela's written for a lot of grants for next year. We're still a little bit short, but we've got some other possibilities in funding that she's putting together. So we believe we should have full capacity next year, but we can't bring those people back till we have those grants on board. So I think, when we came to see you about a month ago, it was very dire. But we've been hustling, Kayla's been hustling, and we've been able to get that funding that should have been secured last year and wasn't. And so Michaela's ensured that that is not gonna be a problem for next year. So budget will be built on this tool right here. So as we move into November, we're gonna start looking at what we did last year, or in 2025. Probably copy that document, round up our numbers a little bit. Michaela will put in some assumptions for next year, and we'll approve that budget. And so the board will have an approved budget. We didn't this year. That was not something that happened last year either.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I don't. The next slide kind of breaks down what, because I know when we came to you guys and we were talking about the gap that we had, and that gap was in order to maintain services and where we were at with things. We ended up having to reduce staff significantly. We are down to 4 full-time people. That's where we sit. So this kind of breaks down exactly where everybody's salaries are, how much that is going to cost monthly, yearly. So where it says, you know, when we're anticipating 2026, that reduced staff there is where it sits where we currently are, at our reduced staff at 4 full-time employees, myself and then 3 advocates. And then if we were to rehire one, so it kind of, that piece breaks it down, and that is salaries and benefits alone. That is not additional operating expenses as well. This is just breaking down the salaries piece in this one, because I anticipated questions as to why we continued to let people go and we didn't bring anybody back on when we had that influx of donations. It is simply because we do not have the means next year to support those roles until we get those other pieces moving. Like Catherine had said, I am still working diligently every day, writing grants, trying to get it to where we can go back and at least hire, you know, a couple of more of those staff. But that's kind of the breakdown of the numbers on that. You know, 2026, our secured grants, that's currently 100% what we have secured. Underneath that is the additional anticipated grants. That's a very conservative estimate of what I anticipate is going to be coming in for next year. Once we get the sale of the shelter done, and once we get, you know, exactly what those grants for next year, because I'm working on a couple of them here in the next month or two, then I will really be able to nail down what 2026's budget looks like for you, so.
It also gives us an indication of what we have to fund to get
Yes.
back to rehire one more person. So we've
Yes.
got to come up with another $28,000 to bring another person on and be comfortable that we're going to be able to keep them employed. To bring in 2 more people, 103, a little over 103,000, and to bring back full staff, we're going to have to come up with about $180,000 to make that work. So rather than bring those people back and then lay them off in December, we're going to work through this process. The net proceeds from the sale of that shelter house should get us to full staff. And then Michaela will start that process over next year, writing the grants for 2027. So I think we have a solid path going forward, a better understanding of where the organization's at. That way, we're not coming back to the table with some emergency requests. They'll be just regular, sustainable requests. We're working really hard on understanding the operating fund piece and making sure that we're asking for operating funds where we need them and understanding what those operating funds look like. So any questions here? That is the plan. We will have a solid budget, rough draft November, approved budget by December. Goal is by end of January having these financials that Michaela has diligently been putting together throughout 2025. We will have them to the CPA to work on that 990. That is not a situation we had this year. Our CPA is still trying to scramble together some really rough numbers and some really rough information from last year. So we don't have a 990 for 2024. That is something we're working on. So that
Should be
is the
done by
goal.
November.
Those nonprofit calendar targets will be met.
Absolutely.
What, over and above the 332,714 grants for income, previous to the grants, you were surviving off of donations, other type things. What is that total? So if you're looking at 332,000, how much do you think for 2026 of what you've used this last year to survive on is going to be able to continue in 2026? Do you know at this point?
So
Do you have a guess?
what, 45 to 50% of services are reimbursed by the state.
Okay,
And so when we talk about selling the shelter house, that does not eliminate the shelter need. We can put people up in the hotels, which we felt is kind of a safer option. That's 100% reimbursable. Not all salaries are reimbursed at that percent. We have, we've come to the city, asked for a budget item for additional monies every year. We've asked the county for the same. We've worked with a couple of foundations, which we're not allowed to discuss who they are, but they have made some commitments. So I believe we have gotten a good chunk of funding, knowing that that's going to be reoccurring throughout the year. Because of the turmoil, we did not have our signature event, which is the Halloween Bash, but there is a plan next year to turn that into more of a community event with some corporate sponsorship, try and make that as something that we can bring in a chunk of money to help with the services that aren't reimbursed but are required by the state. So these are state and federal requirements, but they're not 100% funded.
Right.
And so that's where we'll continue to work to make sure that that happens. We do have a good relationship with the Yampa Valley Community Foundation, and they have been helping with a good portion of that and introduced us to some new grantors that would like to continue to work with this organization and help support its mission and what it's doing. So still kind of hazy. I mean, Michaela has busted her tail. She got kind of dropped into this role and has hit the ground running. And there's been some pretty significant challenges within the organization, just, you know, not only with staffing. If you've ever met these advocates, these people who support you in your darkest time, there's some phenomenal people. And so really, if we can get this going to get these people back in place to help support our community, that is the goal. And I believe we have a committed board. The board has also donated to this cause, so we have good board participation, not only with the management piece, but also the donation piece.
Thank you. Yep.
Other questions, comments? Well, we had our budget workshop. We did pencil in a number for you for 26. As you did mention, these are state mandated services, so it's our best interest to help you keep growing and keep the organization, your organization alive. So I think we have a number. It's not final yet, but probably close. So, all righty. Well, thanks for pulling this out, Catherine. I work with you on other boards, and you do a great job, so I have confidence that. Michaela, you know, keep it running, keep the ball going. Grants are going to be harder to get, so don't get discouraged. So,
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, Steph Enfeld from Northwest Colorado Health to present on the Home Services Sustainability Campaign. Welcome.
Thank you. Mayor and councilwomen, women and men. I just want to say thank you for having me back. I was here a couple months ago. And I'm really just going to re-highlight some of the things that I talked about the last time I was here, and also expand on our ask to the City of Craig for partnership financial support, and give you some time for questions, obviously. So just to reiterate what we talked about last time, the impact of our Home Services Department in Craig, roughly throughout the valley, we serve about 300 new patients every year through 10,000 in-home encounters. It was really cool to hear about the Senior Social Center, and obviously we have really strong partnerships, and we complement each other, and we're referral sources to each other, and very familiar smiling faces. I wanted to reiterate that 40% of our home health and hospice patients that we serve every year actually live in Craig. So we do provide around 4,000 visits to residents of Craig every year. And the majority of which are on Medicare, Medicaid, or our charity care program. A little bit about the impact of home services. When I'm talking about home services, I'm talking about home health and hospice. So home health is really providing services that either temporarily or permanent homebound people have with medical care, and hospice is obviously the thing that most people are familiar with, but it really is providing comfort and dignity at the end of life, and then supporting loved ones for a year after that through the loss of their loved one. And so the impact that can have on this community and has had for 60 years, it increases access to care. It provides personal connection, very much like Senior Social Service Center was talking about. It does reduce hospitalizations and ER visits. It does support household financial sustainability. It really allows the people, the most vulnerable people in this community, to stay in their homes instead of having to move into maybe an assisted living or a skilled nursing facility. It absolutely increases their health outcomes. It is one of those highlights that is essential community factor for the ability to age in place. So when you see studies that say we are aging faster and more in this corner of Colorado than we are in the nation, that is true, and we are serving a lot of those people in our home health and hospice programs. And then it also provides jobs in the Valley and engages volunteers. So we're one of the largest employers in the Valley, in Craig, and about half of our staff live in Craig. That's about 150 people. In home health and hospice specifically, 10 to 15 on any given year, but it is an economic driver. And so a little bit more about the why and why we're here. You know, as an organization, we have so many different programs, and you heard about some of the other ones when they were talking, and they're all fiscally under different structures, and that's how we operate so many different programs. And right now we're in a place where there are not some that can carry the burden or the loss of other ones as there were in the past. It used to be that some of our clinics used to support some of the home health and hospice services. That's not the case anymore. We're in a landscape where all of our funding across the board, when you serve Medicare or Medicaid as your biggest payer, is being cut. And so we are anticipating those cuts and knowing that we can't use any other revenues from any other services to bolster home health and hospice over the next couple of years, 3 years. So that's like high level as an organization where we are, and that builds into the why of the ask. We went over this last time, but just to reiterate, home services, it truly is a broken system in our country, unfortunately. The care we provide per person costs about $6,000 with increasing in labor costs, facility costs, insurance, I mean, all the things that we're all experiencing. But the reimbursement that we get on average of that $6,000 is closer to $2,500 or $100 to $3,000. So, you know, you extrapolate that into how many people we serve, and that's where you come up with this very large number of unreimbursed care. We do serve Medicaid, we do serve people with Medicare, we do serve veterans, participate and take VA payments, and we also have a charity care program, so we do serve anyone, regardless if they can pay or not. And for those people, we do a sliding fee scale. I do want to highlight, and it's not in this, but every single funder that was mentioned for the Senior Social Center is also a funder of ours. All of those foundations, they're great partners of ours, and they believe in our work too. And you know, we're at a point where community support has to grow as our gaps are growing. So that's really the why behind the ask. I want to talk about the campaign a bit. So the reason we're going into a campaign, and we're going to launch it October 1st, officially, is to help us raise $3 million over 3 years to help home care services remain in the Yampa Valley. The most frequent question I've been getting is, okay, well, what happens when 3 years is done, right? So during the 3 years, we'll focus on growing an annual event that we believe can reach a very sizable amount to provide community support needed to ensure that home services will remain. During that time, we're also obviously going to look internally at any little tweaks and things we can do that enables our staff to be with us to be able to provide the services. But if there's any operational efficiencies, and we've been working for years on trying to find them, but we will continue to do that. 3 years will also give us a longer glide path for more advocacy on the local, on the state, on the federal level. I'm on the board of the State Association for Home Care, and we participate in federal advocacy through Leading Age and some other associations. And then locally, I think what a campaign can do can also just raise more awareness around where we are and what we need to support these services. So that is really the plan. We've also already looked at ballot measures a little bit this last year on the county level, and we're told no from both counties. One of them, may want to do something else with some partnerships. So we're still going to kind of go after some ballot measures during that 3 years too. And really, I think the most important thing that happens in those 3 years is it provides the services for 3 more years. That's 12,000 more visits in Craig to people to keep them healthy, keep them in their homes, keep them here. The Haven, Casey's, I can't speak for Sandrock, but they're full. And so if people need home health services and they're not here, and those 2 places are full and Sandrock is close to full, there's no place else for them to go except for outside of the valley. And that's worrisome for me who has parents here. I'm sure it's worrisome for all of you who may have loved ones here. And, I would love to be here someday too at that point. So it's an important piece to keeping people in our valley. I really want to highlight the asks have been made to more than the city of Craig. We serve the whole valley, right? So this is the list of partnership asks that that I have put out, and I'm really looking to be able to announce when we launch the campaign some of these partners that are supporting us. I will read a quote from Jennifer Riley. She couldn't be here tonight. She's out of town, probably advocating for her own services. But she did send me a quote, so I'm going to read this to you. Mayor, council members, thank you for allowing my remarks to be read into the record this evening. Although I'm unable to be here in person, I want to share my strong support for Northwest Colorado Health's home health and hospice programs. These services are critically important in our community. They allow people to stay in their homes longer, help patients leave the hospital sooner, and reduce medical expenses, and provide compassionate, dignified care for those at the end of life. Despite their importance, home health and hospice services are poorly reimbursed. They depend on philanthropy and community partnerships to remain financially viable. That is why Memorial Regional Health has committed $100,000 this year to support Northwest Colorado Health's home health and hospice programs, and we have included this support again in our 2026 budget. I respectfully urge council to consider how you could also support this agency. It is not just a healthcare service, it is a community need. Thank you. I'm incredibly appreciative of MRH and Jennifer for providing the quote and providing the community support. Since I've submitted this, I've also received a yes from UC Health YBMC, so we are well on our way on partnership support. And, partnership support does 2 things. One, obviously, we absolutely need what we're asking for. But 2, it also really provides critical support to garner support from donors. If the cities, if the counties, if the hospitals are saying, yes, this is important, donors listen and hear that. And we've experienced that in the past in other campaigns. So I just want to double down on the importance of the ask to you. And this is some of our campaign collateral, and you can read it at will. But really, I'm in front of you tonight to ask for help in caring for some of your most vulnerable populations, especially here in Craig. And I will stop talking and let you all ask questions.
Council.
So,
No, Randy?
go ahead. With canceling home health for now, is that something that's going to go effective October 1st? Is that something that's going to go effective January 1st if you don't get the report? When does the service stop, and how do you restart it if you then do get the report?
Yeah. We don't restart it.
Okay.
That's it.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to build it up again, and
Right.
I'm not going to get any board now or in the future to say, yeah, let's do that again, because it loses money, and if we can't make it happen now, we're really not going to be able to make it happen in the future. The board will have some hard decisions in front of them. They already do have some hard decisions in front of them coming up in the next couple months with some other things. And going into budget season, where our fiscal year is on the calendar year. And so, you know, there is going to come a time where they're going to say, we have done all we can, and that's about it. So I don't have a hard stop. October 1st is not the hard stop,
That's
for
what I'm
sure.
curious.
We have our budget for this year.
Get through or
Yeah,
whatever you need to do.
we are gonna try as hard as we possibly can to keep these services in the valley. So, that's no hard timing.
And then another question, with the counties, like you said, you gave up doing it in Grand County, and there's others that don't have hospital or don't have you. What happens?
Yeah.
For example, and my point is, what happens when you go away and MRH isn't doing it anymore? What does that really mean in numbers and to the people?
Totally. Great question. So a little framing, it actually has gone away in most frontier or rural areas of Colorado. We are the only one left that's run by a nonprofit that provides home health and hospice to people on Medicare and Medicaid and uninsured or charity care program. The majority of other ones have switched to private pay only, which we all know that doesn't fit our community at all. Sorry, what was the second part of your question?
Well, just,
What are they doing?
what do they do? And what are they doing in that area? How are
So they either choose to leave leave wherever they're living. They either have to go into some sort of community like the Haven, like Casey's, or they stay in their homes in unsafe environments. They pass away earlier. They have more ER visits. They have worse management of their chronic diseases. Quality of life goes down, and it's a hard situation for everybody involved. It also puts a lot of strain and stress on the caregivers of those people. So like in my instance, if it were my mom and I didn't have it, I would try to manage that and my kids and my work. And that is like the mental piece of that would be really hard, let alone the financial piece. So there's it's not just the patients, it's the people who are surrounding them trying to help them, right?
Well, another essential community service penciled into our budget for next year, and we understand your asking commitment. So we'll see if we make the cut. You know, as resources get thin all the way around, you know, we'll see future. So, but again, essential service and greatly needed, and I had a family member that discharged from the hospital on a weekend, didn't have anybody to call or get a hold of home health care. So people had the whole family had to step up, and it was a major issue. So I don't know how families do it without. So thank you. Appreciate it. Alrighty. Item 4, city manager's report. It's Peter's 48th anniversary. He's spending it with his wife, as he should, and I told him, have at it and have fun. So with that said, let's move on to council reports. Luke.
I was out of town and didn't have any meetings this week, so.
Okay, Randy, I'm sure you'll make up for that.
I had the CML Colorado Municipal League fall meeting, which Peter, Chris, Danny, Mindy, and myself went to. Got to hear from a bunch of communities on the Western Slope on some of the things they're facing, some of their challenges, some of their successes, and also got to hear from DOLA and whether they're going to have money next year or not. So it's always a good meeting just to talk to other people to get a different perspective for what's going around in the Western Slope area. Had a LMD meeting where we approved the pickleball plan and engineering that Ryan presented. We also approved the Artisan Holiday Market. We had a final report from the Bear River Young Life Car Show. We talked about the 2025 strategic plan and passed that, along with ideas for how to push the election of the LMD 6A measure. Also attended the football homecoming and game and also worked that. Also did 9/11 flags with Rotary. Had a Northwest Colorado Innovation Center finance meeting where we talked in further detail about the design and plans for the bell tower, and talked about how we're going to fund that. The EDA grant, which is what we want to submit, we need $320,000 of matching funds. And so we're going to we have developed a fundraiser brief that we're going to take nationally and push nationally more than locally to come up with that $320,000. That's also the reason why we decided to delay responding to CNCC on our offer with the bell tower, because their conditions were that we had to raise the money within a year from the date we accept what their terms. So we're going to delay that until we can come up with the $320,000 and then submit the EDA grant with that. So that was a long discussion. Had a Moffett County Tourism Board meeting. There was no quorum. And so they spent most of the time discussing digital ads versus what they've been doing in the past, which is print advertising. Because they need to make a decision sometime soon what they want to do in the future as far as where they want to put their money. They also spent a lot of time talking about, for those of you who haven't heard of it, the Colorado 150, America 250, Moffett 115 celebration coming on next year. There's going to be a lot of activities across the state tied in with that, some of which are going to be happening here. Had a chamber meeting where we spent a lot of time talking about our strategic planning meeting that we're going to have in October and what we're going to do for 2026 and beyond. We also talked about the stakeholders document that we sent out to a lot of organizations and how to help groups move that forward and see what they want to do with it and what help we can be with that. And then we spent a lot of time talking about how we're going to promote the LMD with the 6A ballot measure and the various things that the chamber and that board, that committee is going to do. Had a Memorial Regional Health meeting. They had a presentation from the rehab department and from the trauma department, both of which they are meeting their goals and succeeding and doing a lot of amazing things in this community. They had gross revenue for August of $12.4 million with a year-to-date net income of $1.1 million versus a budget of $876,000. And cash on hand is up to 82 for 4 days. So the hospital is doing really well at this point. Had another Northwest Colorado Innovation Center board meeting itself, where we had a presentation by the Colorado Apprenticeship Agency, which I'd never heard of. And they do a lot of things on the Front Range and on the Western Slope, and want to move more helping with that, which is somewhat what the NCIC is looking at, is apprenticeships and other type training. And then for everyone who doesn't know, the annual meeting is at the airport tomorrow starting at 5:30. So if you still want to go, it's got plenty of seats and we'd love to have you. I also attended the EDAC meeting, and I assume that Derek will talk mostly about that. And that's it.
Thank you, Randy. Jesse?
CNCC, they canceled their election. They're going to do some after-election appointees. They have a few people in mind for some of their board members that are done. They're still looking into the student housing, just trying to gain more information. They're looking at some money for the design, but they just have a few concerns. They do have CNCC Fall Fest Friday the 26th, 3 to 7. And that's what I got. They do have an archery team now that I didn't realize, kind of taken over for the rodeo, and they got a lot of interest, so that seemed kind of cool. Now with the school district, they met yesterday. They said they are going to be creating a safety committee here real soon. And they showed all their results for their student success of last year, and overall, I thought I saw a lot of success, a lot of improved numbers. Some areas still need to improve, but I thought it was a good little thing to see those numbers going in the right direction for our success of our kids. Did see they got like $1.3 million in grants to help with literacy. So I thought that was awesome. It's over a 4-year period. Then, of course, a lot of other little grants that will also help with literacy that I think is a very good thing. They did appoint or select Janelle, and the board approved it for the representative of Tri-State Settlement Committee. And the one thing I did, they were talking about a little bit of what we get back for the per pupil fee. And it's pretty low for the national average for Colorado, so something to keep in mind. That I didn't know if I heard the exact number, so I'm not gonna say, but it just seemed really bad. And to keep in mind when we're trying to elect people that want to take education, make it important. Then the only other thing was October 1st is if everybody goes to school, because that's when we get counted. And so we can get all the amount of money for every kid to be there. So an important day to be there. I think that's what I got.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Jesse. Good report.
Yeah, I was able to zoom into the EDAC meeting. I had a delivery, so I didn't get to catch it all. But obviously, the reappointments of 3 board members that we just approved on the consent agenda, received updates on the IRS letter, 2025 business plan competition, which sounds like there are 5 finalists. Is that correct?
There is now, yes.
5. So that's moving forward. Sounds like, good groups or good businesses for sure. So Craig Business Park and Industrial Park, we had an update on where we're at in that process, as well as we reviewed the Victory Way property marketing and the chamber survey. A couple discussions that were brought up were about the META, the Moffett Economic Development Authority. Sounded like that advisory board may want some representation in the near future, maybe a board member from that advisory board to potentially be appointed, potentially from the city. They made that point. And they also had some questions and some concerns about the Holtec nuclear talks that we all received. And just sounded like maybe they wanted to be a little more involved. So moving forward, I think we probably need to do a better job of that. We also had a workshop after. One key date, which I'm excited for, is October 20th. We have Senator Dylan Roberts and Representative Megan Lukens coming to the EDAC meeting, which I think is good. There are some concerns and some topics that we'd like to bring up as a Economic Development Advisory Council or committee and discuss some challenges that this group is seeing and what our region is seeing. So that's good that they're coming. So I appreciate you inviting them, Shannon, and getting them up there. And also discuss 2026 EDAC goals and objectives. No planning and zoning for September. I did go to a Parks and Rec Advisory Committee meeting. We had no quorum, but we still had the meeting. Obviously, no business was voted on, but we received updates on the pickleball that Randy mentioned, and we also discussed the sports complex that we had gone over the previous council meeting. Still have 2 at-large vacancies, is that correct? So just thought maybe if there's any senior social center members that would like to be on the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, maybe we'll reach out. That'd be a good fit for sure. What else? And then last Friday, we had our first META meeting, the Moffett Economic Development Authority, which Jesse just mentioned that Janelle Linscomb was appointed by the school district. It's myself from the city and Shannon. And then Tony Booyer and Dave Fleming is on that authority board. We appointed officers. Tony Booyer is the president, Shannon Scott vice president, and now that it is official, Janelle Linscomb probably secretary. So we also heard Parker Shankin with Taft was there at the meeting and gave the board a background, and we reviewed and discussed the authority, reviewed the investment policy, reviewed the RFP for the investment advisory services that is going to go out here soon. Obviously, that's the priority for this board is to select that firm and to be able to receive the monies from Tri-State January 2026. So next couple months will be full of those meetings, and looking forward to being part of that group and that project for sure. And I believe that is all I have. Homecoming was great. Thanks to everybody involved, Road and Bridge, Parks and Rec, everybody who, police, helped put the parade on, and game was great. Good turnout, good result, good ending result, and just a good week for
And they won.
for Moffett County Schools, for sure.
And they
So,
won.
thanks to everyone involved.
Yeah. Michelle, thank you, Darrell.
I had a meeting with the library board, a few of those board members and the commissioners to discuss the Dinosaur Branch funding. I believe we've gotten that taken care of and a plan for that moving forward. We had a library board meeting on September 16th. Just some quick numbers to share from the summer reading club. They had 228 children, 72 teens, and 44 adults participate. I had a suicide prevention committee meeting last Wednesday. Not a lot of new information from there. I attended the budget session last week, and then, as Derek said, homecoming parade and the football game, very well attended. I thought the parade was great. The football game was packed. It was really nice to see. And then just a quick for Parks and Rec, we have participated, my kids, both in swim lessons, soccer, and football. I just wanted to give you a shout out. Tomorrow night's our last football game, and then we'll take a break from Parks and Rec. But your team did a great job with the programming. The fields are always great, so huge shout out to you guys. Yep. And then Shannon, there's a Kira meeting on the 8th.
Yes.
I will not be able to attend, so that's just a little piece of information. I am leaving town. I won't be back until October 12th, so not able to attend any meetings between now and then.
Okay,
And that's all I have.
thank you. Well, I hope the community can see that council is more than 2 monthly meetings. There's a lot of community liaison meetings that council is pretty involved in the community and what's happening. For myself, September is, kind of busy. I went with Randy and Peter, Mindy and Katie and Danny to Hayden to the Colorado Municipal League outreach. Randy did a good job describing it. It's just great to hear what the other communities are working on and how they're approaching some of the problems that they have in their communities as well. I went to the Boys and Girls Club Hoedown. It was in Steamboat. The Boys and Girls Club is of Northwest Colorado, so it's the Craig and Steamboat clubs under one roof. So all the money they raise, either in Steamboat and Craig, goes to the total organization. So after school, the after school in the winter time, there are about 90 kids a day that are being served, and during the summer program was about 125 here, 140 in Steamboat. So it's keeping the kids with something to do, keeping them active, and keeping them learning with programming. So went to AG&C, Associated Governments of Northwest Colorado Board meeting. Couple items of importance there is signed a letter of support for the SPEED Act. What the SPEED Act is, the NEPA Environmental Process Study. They're asking the Trump administration to continue working on the approval process for the NEPA study. So many of the environmental groups use the NEPA process in filing appeals that slows down development and extends the cost of development, trying to go through and working the whole NEPA process. So they, AG&C signed on with other communities a letter of support to continue the work on speeding up that process. OJT, letter of support for coal transition workers. Startup Colorado issued an RFP to work with OJT in their process of training transition of coal workers. So that group is going to be working together with AG&C as well to help out that transition. Got an update from NCEI. Matt Sullivan, the expression of interest for nuclear study is gonna be done due this fall. So, that work is still continuing. Had a presentation from the Attorney General's office, Mindy Bumgardner, about her rural outreach program. I did ask her, and Heather might shoot me tonight, but no, not physically. I asked her if a local 14 district attorneys has the autonomy to decide what cases they're going to prosecute and which ones they are not, since we received a letter from the DA saying our police department's too active in filing charges. So she didn't have an answer to that, Heather, and she's supposed to get back to me, which she didn't. So the district attorney of the 14th Judicial District is an elected official, so I guess, you know, he has some autonomy in that. So didn't get an answer. So that was pretty much that. Budget workshop, I don't know if council talked about that. Did we go over that a little bit? Spent most of the day going over with the city department heads our first view at the 2026 City of Craig budget. Department heads and Mindy did a great job in the presentations, going over everything. I think council added more than we cut, you know, in programs, and a couple of the programs we heard tonight were a priority, so, you know, we kind of penciled those in. Fire board, attended fire board meeting. The fire district 2026 budget was presented as not even first reading, but just the working budget. Normal business had a presentation on a company that will update the website to be ADA compliant. And I know all the government agencies are working on the new state regulations for compliance of your website. So it's something not easy to do. It's major changes. So making all those changes. Meta with Derek, the Moffett County Economic Development Authority. For people who do not know what this is the Tri-State $22 million settlement, guaranteed settlement monies from Tri-State. This would be the first time we've had economic development efforts, several of them in the past, but they never really had money to use to incentivize new prospective developers. This would be the first time we have that money. This fund is meant to be perpetual from the standpoint we will only work with the grant or interest money in either loans or grants to not touch the principal. If they do touch the principal, then they have to pay that principal back first thing in the arrangements. All these projects will be evaluated on what they bring in jobs and investment for the community. So very important process. We won't get our first $5.5 million check from Tri-State until early in '26. But this group, and Derek and Shannon are the representatives from the city, you know, are setting up that organization now. So we have all the formation documents, everything's in place. So first of the year, we're going to hit the ground running. We won't be able to do any projects probably to '27 mid-year, because we want to build a reserve in the fund, the interest, before we start doing grants or loaning money. So thank you to Tri-State again for that settlement. You know, they could have just pulled the plug and walked away, but Tri-State worked with the community. They made commitments to future energy resources located in our community. So success all the way around. Fall Festival, I was there as well. I'd like to thank Downtown Business Association for all their work they've done all summer on festivals to bring the community together. Live music, activities for the kids. The pumpkin painting section was pretty busy. So again, thank you to Downtown Business. Today, I attended the commissioners' second meeting of the month. Their consent agenda was pretty lengthy. It's A through N that they ratified. I'm not going to go over each of the items. I will go over to county commissioners discussed a letter to be sent to the Routt County Commissioners. Routt County opposed oil and gas well siting in northeast Moffett County. Sent a letter of opposition to the Oil and Gas Commission, which held up their permits for that gas well, even though it was in Moffett County. So the commissioners are sending a letter to the Routt County's commissioners that say, we don't get involved in your energy policies. Please don't get involved in ours as well. Sent another letter to the governor and the state legislature about unfunded mandates and the effects that they have on the communities. And if they don't fund them, then their opinion will be that they're optional. So if the state's not going to fund them, we'll see how that goes. Had a public hearing, resolution 2573, amendment to zoning regulations. Added solar sites as a conditional use to their agricultural zoning regs. Had a presentation from Morel Energy, which wanted a zone change for, 32 acres adjacent to Tri-State to build a battery storage plant. This was part of Tri-State's energy resource plan that they got approved through the state of Colorado. So this plant would, during construction, which wouldn't start until 28, would employ 50 to 100 workers, and it will be handful of full-time jobs once complete. So they approved the zone change from agricultural to heavy industrial, and they improved their conditional use permit for the battery storage. Battery storage of 200 megawatts and 800 megawatt hours of use. Purpose of battery storage is to fill in the gaps when renewables aren't producing. Office of Emergency Manager had a bid recommendation and approval for hazmat disposal of barrels of hazmat that were dumped on County Road 103. And Rebecca did a good job presenting the Senior Social Center. So that was the commissioners. I have 2 letters, thank you cards to read. Thank you to City of Craig for the add-on money on my 2025 Moffett County goat sale. Carson Weber. And dear Peter and friends at the city, thank you for sponsoring the Senior Social Center's Better with Age art show and wine tasting event for 25. And everybody at the Senior Social Center, thank you. So, with that said, any questions for any council members? Hearing none, so let's move on to public comment. Public comment time is set aside for citizens to address the city council on matters within the jurisdiction of the city. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes to speak. Speakers may not cede their time to another speaker. The city council can only act on matters that are on the agenda, but may place matters brought to their attention at this meeting on future agenda items for consideration. With that said, I'd like to open public comment. It's your opportunity to address the council. Mindy Elliott will be the timekeeper, and she will warn you, 20 seconds? Okay. Come on up to the mic. Not seeing a lot. There you go. Mr. Arnold, welcome.
How are y'all doing tonight?
Please identify yourself for the record and name and address, please.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Alvin Arnault, and I live on 643 Barclay Street. That's what I got to hear on Friday night while I'm sitting on the couch, finally getting a chance to watch some TV. Enhancing the quality of life. Y'all are fucking hilarious. Quality of life for whom? Because it definitely ain't us. Some of you already heard about what I did in response to this stupidity on Saturday. If you haven't, it's kind of wild. It got over 5,000 views. As I already told the alleged rapist over here in the chair, I'm done taking the high road. I'm done trying to keep it within the community. You all heard our pleas months ago, and we've gotten nothing in return but a wall of silence. So now I'm sending the world an open invitation to crash y'all's party. I will give the alleged rapist some credit. He did apologize 128 days too late, right after he heard this shit. But, like I said, too little empathy, too late, as y'all were this shithead's enablers. I'm going for the jugular in the metaphorical sense, not the sense. I want to be crystal clear on that. Don Stearman is a bit sensitive, and I don't want to be the cause of his heart attack. We'll let his affinity for cheeseburgers take care of that. I have 2 banners. They've been affixed with QR codes leading to the video links on my YouTube channel. I have 96 videos. These video links are made mostly of the same body cam footage that I played back here in June. These banners are being secured to the driver's side and passenger side of a rented panel truck. That panel truck is also going to include QR codes with y'all's contact information. That panel truck is being driven from Craig to Aurora and back. All we wanted was to be heard. All we wanted was constructive dialogue. What we got instead was a dick-headed lawyer doing his level best to stonewall us and escalating harassment. So fuck it. We all get to bask in the chaos I'm gonna create. Don't be mad. You could have prevented this.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. Anybody else like to come up and approach council? Going once? Okay, let's move on from public comment. Item 7 is public hearing. Public Works Director Danny Paul to introduce a replat of Craig View, lots 37 to 42, block 31, located at 455 East 7th Street, which will vacate portion of an alley and dedicate a public easement. So how we'll handle this again, we'll have staff make a presentation. The developer or the owner of the property can speak. I don't know if there's anybody here. At that case, council, feel free at any time to ask questions. Then anybody in the audience that'd like to come up that would speak either for or against this, that's your opportunity to ask questions, to speak for the project, and then at that point, we'll close the public hearing and move on to other business. With that said, I will open the public hearing on 455 East 7th Street.
Great, thank you, Mayor, thank you, Council. I'm covering this item tonight for our hardworking building official who's actually up in his office catching up on some other duties. So for the record, I'll go through kind of the highlights in your memo that's in your packet. The applicant is Bertha and Diego Garcia, who are here in attendance tonight. They own a residence at 455 East 7th Street, and they've applied to vacate a portion of a public alley that's 30 feet wide by 104 feet long, and it's just to the east of the entrance into the Sherwood Forest area. The Garcias bought the home a few years ago and did not get an ILC or a survey at the time, and more recently, upon putting the property up for sale, they discovered that their driveway, a shed, and even a portion of the home were built outside of their westerly property line and into the city's alley right away. That home was built in 1979 when apparently nobody was checking that the houses were being built on the property. Recently, they hired a local surveyor and did an ILC, which did verify the residence encroaches in the public right away, and so that's their hardship. that it wouldn't be practical to remove a portion of that westerly side of that home. Up on the screen there shows the area where, subject to this vacation, you can actually see the two stakes that indicate on the right the existing property boundary. And then the line to the left would represent where the new property boundary, so that 30 feet is the area of the alley that would be vacated. The only concerns that have been raised by the public to staff have been regarding access into the Sherwood Forest, which will not be impacted in any way with this vacation. Access to and from the park will remain just as it is today. The alley right-of-way is unusually wide, which allows for the vacation to occur with no impact to that alleyway. There aren't any existing utilities within the area to be vacated, and the owner has secured approvals from the utility providers. Staff does not anticipate use for the unimproved portion of the or for the roadway in the future. And even if we did, this vacation would still leave enough room to improve that alley. In exchange for the vacation, staff was able to make a deal with the owner where they dedicate a 15-foot wide public access easement across the entirety of the frontage of that property, which will benefit the city in assuring access to an existing sewer main that runs just off that property line, and then would also allow for future bridge reconstruction, potential for adding a sidewalk without needing to secure an easement from the future owner of this property. The easement area that's being dedicated equates to 2,760 square feet, which is close to an even trade for the alley vacation, which that area of 30 feet by 104 feet equates to 3,120 square feet. So in your packet, we have the application from the applicant, along with signatures from the adjacent property owners. There is approvals from the Water and Wastewater, Road and Bridge, and Public Works directors, so this comes with staff support. There's also letters from utility providers, Valley Electric, Luminate Broadband, and Atmos, all indicating they'd have no anticipated use for that portion of the alley. Also the vacation plat that I referenced. The Planning and Zoning Commission approved this request unanimously at their meeting back in, I guess, August. And this ordinance that will be up next, it would be a second reading to approve this vacation. And then lastly, I wanted to note that typically a vacation would be split and given to each of the abutting property owners, but in this case, the city owns the land on all three sides, so that rule would not apply. Are there any questions?
Third time we've gone through this, yeah.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, the applicant is here if you'd like to ask any questions of them.
Mr. Garcia, would you like to add anything? Come on up to the microphone. Identify yourself for the record.
Hi, my name is Berta Garcia, and I just want to appreciate you guys taking the time to look into this and help us in any way you can to get this straightened out.
Okay.
Do you guys have any questions for us?
Nope, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Council, questions? Either Garcia, staff, nothing, so at this point, public input on this vacation of that right-of-way. Your public hearing, come on up to speak. You'll have 3 minutes. Ms. Elliott will be the timekeeper. She will notify you if you have when you have 30 seconds left. With that said, okay, I see nobody coming up. We'll close the public hearing for the vacation of the easement there on 455 East 7th Street. With that said, we'll move on to item 8, other business. Public Works Director Danny Paul to present second reading, final readings of Ordinance 1168, 2025. Ordinance of the City of Craig vacating a portion of a City of Craig alley right-of-way in Block 31 of the Craigview Addition.
Thank you, Mayor. Because this is an alley vacation, it does require approval of an ordinance. The first reading of that ordinance was approved at your last meeting So this is the second and final reading of that ordinance. And the ordinance includes a description of the purpose for the alley vacation along with the legal description of that alleyway that would be vacated. Are there any questions?
Hearing no questions, council, your pleasure.
I'll make a motion to approve second reading of ordinance number 1168, 2025.
Second.
Councilman Duran made a motion to approve second reading of ordinance 1168, 2025, seconded by Councilman Jackson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. Thank you. You're approved. Okay, item B, City Attorney Heather Cannon to present for discussion and approval of resolution number 28, a resolution to extend ordinance 1165-25, 2025, an ordinance of the City of Craig imposing a moratorium on the submission, acceptance, processing, and approval of applications for the establishment of businesses that cultivates, processes, or dispenses natural medicine, or the establishment of any business, occupation, or operation for healing centers for an additional 6 months to March 23rd, 2026. Ms. Cannon.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is obviously lengthy as it reads, an extension of the moratorium that Council already approved about 6 months ago. The reality is not a lot of information is yet available. These are all pretty new. There's been different municipalities that have chosen to statutorily not impose any restrictions, but there's still not a lot of information on the impact these natural healing centers have to different communities. So this just gives us a little bit more time to evaluate what we want to impose as far as time, place, and manner with regard to regulating this type of business entity.
This is an extension, so, yeah.
Correct.
Questions for Heather? That, council? Motion?
Make a motion to approve resolution, or extend the resolution of ordinance number 1166-25.
Second.
To be clear, that's resolution number 28, a resolution extending.
Oh, I gotcha.
Okay. All right, I have a motion by Councilman Jackson, second by Councilman Looper, to approve resolution number 28, a resolution to extend ordinance 1166, 2025. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Thank you, Heather. Item number, or C, Parks and Recreation Director Ryan Dennison to present for discussion and approval of a sole source design and engineering services to Ayers and Associates in the amount of $50,616.14 for the Woodbury Pickleball Project. Mr. Dennison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council. So over the course of many years, we've been working with the local pickleball club for, to assist in their needs at the current courts, and then for future to build courts in the future there. So with this takes time to try to really define the project, and I believe we're at that course of time right now. So as many of you know, the local pickleball group, reached out to LMD, did a presentation for support of courts, existing kind of court rehab there at Lincoln Street. So with that, we met with the pickleball group and kind of got just discussed kind of their plan with the LMD meeting and those sorts of funds, and then really kind of centralized our efforts to get a well, hopefully defined plan in place. Met with a representative from the LMD potentially for, the best plan of or approach for potential funding for design and engineering. So recently, the first part of the month, we presented at LMD for design and engineering of 4 pickleball courts at Woodbury. And those would be right adjacent to the basketball courts there at Woodbury. So kind of just, as I mentioned earlier, just taking some time to define the plan, the concept plan, working with heirs. So there's the basketball courts there, and to the south of that is the playground, and kind of just a conceptual idea of those 4 courts and amenities there. So with that, in addition to that, heirs completed kind of an engineered assessment of the overall project at Woodbury. So the overall project is $533,000. So right now, working to complete design and engineering. And what's really neat about the project is throughout this is just reaching out to local project funders potentially in there, and it really just took legs and shape. So really neat to see on that. So in part of your packet on kind of the funding snapshot, so we submitted a grant soft cost to the local marketing district for $40,000. We were awarded, as Randy mentioned earlier, grant funding for that. Northwest Colorado Chapter of Repairheads, they're interested in helping out with potential with the project for future constructions potentially. The local pickleball group has committed $5,000 to the project. And with that, and through that, the local pickleball group worked with a local Walmart to secure grant funding up to $4,000 for construction. So really neat to see the group kind of spearhead that, really taking shape to where we are right now. So with that, tonight is just a recommendation for, we have the funding in place, it's really positive, and just a sole source justification for going to heirs to complete the design and engineering to facilitate this efficiently. And right, there's a snapshot just as informational purposes that there's a picture, maybe, can you scroll up? Just additional information we're working with heirs just on, we've been working with them preliminary on this, they have the information, but two, just on kind of due diligence on pickleball gets noisy, but there's a recommended, at this spot that's proposed is within the recommended standard of noise distance. So ideal from residential is 500 feet. Minimum's 250, so it's right in there. So just wanted for FY for council to see that. Any questions on the project?
So the reason for the sole source, because heirs already did work on this, and just
Some, Mr. Mayor, yes, and just to officially complete this, with LMD funding, the unknown if they'll get with a vote, we can secure that, be on our way. And by no means are they the only landscape architect out there. This is just for the purposes of time. They'll do a great job on it and complete it in time.
I'm glad you covered the noise because, in the news, you hear residents around pickleball courts complaining about the ball and the paddle constantly. And so you've more than ample space. Huh?
Yeah. And just to add on, was just mentioning the, project support to working with MRH, they're really supportive of the project, and we'll be working with them for future construction, some grant administration right there. So it's really neat to see collectively a project really take shape with a lot of interested groups involved in there.
Sure. Questions? Council?
No, I just had reached out to Danny, because on the budget, it called for the post-tension slab.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was kind of unique for pickleball. Typically in construction, you see it in bridges and roads, but Danny, or Mr. Paul came back with some information that it'll help keep that surface sturdy and crack-free for years to come, so we might be producing some of the top-notch pickleball players in the state moving forward, because they'll have a great surface, so appreciate you looking into that for us. But yeah, it looks like a really nice design, and it's gonna be top-notch.
And lit too, illuminated.
Yeah. And our, the plan is to be, the project shovel ready, and, we'll go out and plan construction next year and get as much, support funding for it so we can complete it.
All righty, council, no further questions? Hearing none?
I'll make a motion to approve 50,616.14 for the Woodbury Pickleball Project for sole source design and engineering to Ayers and Associates.
Second. All right, just by slightly,
That's
Michelle.
okay.
Okay. I have Councilman Looper made a motion to approve the sole source design and engineering services to Ayers and Associates, seconded by Councilman Jackson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we approved the money, now we have to allocate it, right? So Finance Director Mindy Elliott to present for discussion and approval, Resolution Number 29, 2025, a resolution to appropriate funds in the general fund for the pickleball court design work. Ms. Elliott.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So you just heard Ryan's presentation on the pickleball. They were able to secure grant funding for that from LMD in the amount of $40,616.14. And then a committed contribution from the local pickleball group in the amount of $5,000. So this resolution is to appropriate that funding and then increase the general fund parks improvement to then spend the money.
Pretty standard, anytime we approve money, we have to put it in the checkbook, so. So, any questions for Mindy? Okay, hearing none, council.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 29, 2025.
Second.
Councilman Duran made a motion to approve resolution number 29, 2025, seconded by Councilmember Looper. Any further or any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's approved.
Thank you, council.
Ryan, are you up again?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, City Manager Ryan Dennison Brixis to present for
I can't fill those
discussion and
shoes.
approval, a letter of support for the development of a new community skate park.
Yeah, so council, this is just a formalized a letter from the city of Craig, just for support of the skate park at Loudy Simpson Park. Really,
Okay.
any?
I think the letter's in your packet.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward. So that's with the county and their project out at Loudy and.
Yeah, so just believe just city support on it, so they can really kick off their efforts at the getting the skate park at Loudy.
They can start fundraising.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Council,
I'll make a motion to approve the letter of support for the development of a new community skate park.
Second.
Councilwoman Gotcho made a motion to approve the letter of support, seconded by Councilman Jackson. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, letter of support passed. Item F, Museum Director Dan Davison to present for discussion and approval of Resolution Number 30, 2025, a resolution of the City of Craig authorizing execution of an oil and gas lease between the City of Craig for the benefit of the Museum of Northwest Colorado and Zenergy, Inc. Mr. Davison.
Evening, Mayor and Council again. I said several weeks ago that it was sort of a rare occurrence to have oil and gas leases, and of course this one showed right up, and there was another one that's actually in the process. I would say that part of that is probably due to the large amount of BLM oil and gas leases that have been issued either just recently or in the next two auctions that they have, where there had been none during the last administration. So I won't really know what that's really going to do. It's still an extremely difficult thing to do. This particular oil and gas lease is an extension of the one that we did several weeks ago that takes it into another township and takes it to the township below 1290. That were areas that I actually talked to the leasing agent about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And at that time, they weren't interested in those. And so it basically increased that area, and we stayed with the same royalty number, the same mineral acre value number that's received as what we did in the lease prior. So it's pretty much just a continuation and enlarge the area that they were interested in. I think that's the short version of that. If there's any questions, I'll try to answer any questions.
You don't get the money or anything till if they develop mineral.
No, the money has sort of, once upon a time, I was involved in doing this differently, but mainly they have to just prove the title is in fact what they say they are. So that check has not come in yet from the first lease, but it should be here any time. And then this check will be probably a little faster due to the fact of the title work they've already done. So both of those will be received probably by the end of October, something like that. So it's a 5-year lease, but it's up front. So it'll be received in this calendar year.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Davison? Council?
Making a motion to approve resolution number 30, 2025.
Second.
I'll give that Michelle. All right, Councilman Tucker made a motion to approve resolution number 30, 2025, seconded by Councilwoman Gotzel. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. City Clerk Katie Carmody to present for discussion and nomination of a city council member as a liaison to the ACTS Board. This was requested when they appeared before council to request funding. So do we have any volunteers?
I volunteer.
Did you feel the pressure?
I felt it.
Do you feel the eyeballs or what? Yeah. So I have Councilwoman Gotchel accepts a nomination, I assume,
Yes.
and all in favor? Aye. Opposed? That's all we need, right, Heather?
It is. I
Yeah.
don't know that that was a nomination.
I will nominate Michelle Gotcha.
Second. And, all right, Councilman Duran made a motion to nominate Michelle Gottrell to the liaison to the ACTS Board, seconded by Councilman Jackson. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All right, now you're approved. Thank you, Michelle.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Item 9A, council discussion and request for future agenda items.
Derek just agreed to be my backup.
Okay, Derek? Okay.
I was off the
You can record that. Those aren't official appointments, right? But anyway. Randy, you had requests to put 2 more people on our stakeholders group, being the RTA and the Mountain Rail
And the NCIC.
and NCIC. So let's discuss that. So Derek and I are hold that group together. At our last meeting, there was a request that 2 council members attend. So we have our next meeting scheduled already. We'll see if we'll send out the invitations to those groups and see. It'll probably be you, right?
Probably.
Yeah, okay. All righty, we'll add those. Anything else from council? Hearing nothing, staff reports, Economic Development Manager Shannon Scott to present the Economic Development third quarter report for 2025. Good evening, Shannon.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Just to review the last few meetings that we've had for the EDAC. At our July meeting, we did approve a letter of support for the Northwest Colorado Innovation Center, or the NCIC. We did give some updates again on the Energy Worker Penalty Waiver Act, the business plan competition, the chamber survey, the ballot, LMD ballot initiative, the business and industrial park, the 8th Street Townhomes marketing, and then the Victory Way Properties marketing. We did talk a little bit about the survey results from the Yampa Valley Regional Housing Survey. And I think as Councilman Duran noted, we did extend an invite to Senator Dylan Roberts and Representative Megan Lukens to attend a future EDAC meeting in which they agreed to attend our October 20th meeting. At our August meeting, we did have Dr. Nathan Perry with CMU. He gave a presentation about some of our local economic development data, statistics for Craig and Moffett County, as well as kind of the Northwest region. We did have Christine Rambo with the NWCDC give a presentation about some of the projects that they're doing in the region, as well as an update on the NCIC and kind of the process and formation for that. We also had Aaron McCuskey and Ashley Dishman with the Northwest Colorado SBDC, gave a presentation on their work in the region, and specifically talked about their assistance with the business plan competition over the last several years. Again, more updates on some of the previous items as well. September, so that meeting was last Monday. Again, obviously seeing that the EDAC did make recommendations to reappoint Chris Jones, Debbie Fitch, and Sasha Nelson, which were approved this evening. So thank you all for that. An update on the Energy Worker Penalty Waiver Act. I believe in your packet it shows that we have 41 signatures. As of last Friday, we actually have 47. We're hoping to have all of those in by the end of September. So there's a link there in the packet if you would like to support that initiative. Our goal is to have at least 50 that we can send off with that support information to the IRS. Let's see, as Councilman Duran stated, we did go over the priorities and goals for when Senator Roberts and Representative Lukens will attend our October 20th EDAC meeting. Let's see, I think that about wraps up some of the EDAC items that we've been going over. As far as CURA, at our August meeting, we did present an opportunity to present the potential formation for a third urban renewal authority area. The intent of that area is to include the future Craig Business and Industrial Park site, the corner lot on First and Rainey, the city-owned lot west of the Public Safety Center, and then the former Moffett County Courthouse site. We'll probably also like to include the former Miller Family Appliance Building and the MJK Building. We were given direction from the commissioners to essentially reach out to each of the taxing entities to see if this is something that they would be on board with. So over the last 2 weeks, myself and Angela High, who is our URA attorney, were able to meet with all 4 of the taxing entities. So we met with the school superintendent, the school board president, all 3 of the Moffett County commissioners, the college board, and the fire district board, and they are all in favor of pursuing the URA number 3. So the goal is to have a meeting on October 8th, to have a CURA meeting then, to represent that essentially to the commissioners to see if that's something that we do in fact want to pursue. We also do have an updated timeline of what those events would entail, how long would it would take, and then an updated budget. As far as housing is concerned, for the 8th Street townhomes, we do have the Marketing Alliance campaign. It's in full swing right now. If you've driven by there lately, you've probably seen that all of the new on-site signage is up. We do have a new landing page on the Discover Craig website where basically all the information for the townhomes currently lives. We are pushing out weekly social media posts. Those have been running now for probably about a month and will continue until the end of the year. We have sent out constant contact emails to, our first email blast was to about 45 to 50 of our local and regional major employers. And then we sent out another email blast last week to about 20 or 31 additional employers as well. So those have been going out. We've also, you've probably seen some digital ads that we've had posting in the Craig Press. We're currently working to get some digital ads in the Steamboat Pilot, as well as paper ads in both the Craig Press and the Pilot, pretty much to run until the end of the year as well. We do have an opportunity, some of you might have seen it, the Steamboat Home Finder magazine, to place an ad in there as well. I believe they publish 4 times a year, so we're just trying to firm up some pricing and scheduling on that as well, so that might be a good opportunity for that market as well. For Meadows, again, the site plan was approved back in August by P&Z and of course approved by council at their subsequent meeting. We're still working on getting the final information of when the Dragoos will close on the property and when they will commence construction. Couple more items for marketing and promotion. For the Victory Way properties, which was currently the former Moffat County Courthouse site, we did create a site sheet that specifies all the details of the 3 sites that we're pushing out. That site sheet was sent out directly to that list of local, regional, and state developers. There was a list of about 25 to 30 developers. We also had some from Utah and Wyoming that were included in that list, so that was sent out a few weeks ago. The landing page has been created on the Discover Craig website as well, where all of that traffic will be directed or has been directed. Let's see. Another cool thing that we did too is we released a press release that targeted about 100 different media outlets, and that was all over the United States. That basically just ran a short snippet of what the project is and specifics on each of the properties. So that was kind of cool. We're hoping to get responses back in by October 1st of who might be interested in developing those properties. If we don't get anything back, we'd hope to extend that potentially until the end of the year. Yampa River Corridor Project, Melanie's been working closely with Marketing Alliance to help put together and firm up that campaign. I believe we're going to try to launch that in the fall of this year. So excited to see how that turns out. Already touched on the 8th Street Townhomes marketing, business plan competition. So we did receive 11 Phase 1 entries this year, and that was for 8 new businesses and 3 existing businesses. We did have 7 that were selected to move forward to Phase 2, which was 4 new and 3 existing. We did have 2 of the 7 finalists. They were 2 of the new, no, actually 1 was new and 1 was existing, I think. That have pulled out, so we're going to have 5 that will move forward to the final round, and they will give their in-person presentations to the judges on Saturday, October 4th, and then we'll plan on announcing the winners at the October 14th City Council meeting. For the Craig Business and Industrial Park, we are currently working with the Antero Group right now to firm up that contract that we have with them, so we expect to bring that to you all probably at the next council meeting for approval. The Antero Group was actually out here back in August, so they met with relevant city staff just to go over goals and priorities again for that project, and then they'll be back out here on October 16th. We have submitted our first reimbursement request to OJT for the 50%, and again, that's going to be for the acquisition of the property. Once we close on the property, which I think is September 26th, we'll be able to submit that final 50% reimbursement request. Just one other item that I wanted to touch on that I did not include in the packet is the Brownfields grant. So we had a little bit of discussion at the budget meeting last week on whether we wanted to pursue that this year. I had conversations with Ayers Associates, who is the consultant that we use to help us manage that grant. And I just wanted to get some clarification on the specifics for both the assessment part and the abatement part, since there is that they call it a multi-purpose grant. So every other year you can do both abatement and assessment together. So apparently for the abatement portion, we have to own the properties. So for any of the properties that we discussed last week, we don't have city ownership. And my thought was, well, maybe we can at least just submit an application and then figure those out later on down the road, because we have like 3 years to spend the dollars. Apparently, to submit the application, we have to prove that a phase 1 and a phase 2 has been completed on a city-owned property before we can apply for the abatement dollars. So we're thinking maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, that's something that we can entertain again. I also double checked on the state funding because they also have abatement dollars available for kind of one-off projects, but it's the same situation. So they have to be city-owned properties. And apparently the only exception that they make is if there is a dangerous property that the city is willing to do eminent domain with, and they might consider abatement dollars. So kind of a potential opportunity, but doesn't sound very likely. So their recommendation is that we go after the assessment dollars this year for the $500,000. The good thing about the assessment is they do have area-wide planning as part of some of those grant dollars, so they could actually help us put together a policy for, and Danny, you might be working on this right now with Marlon and some other folks, but they can actually help us put together a policy for vacant, dangerous buildings, eminent domain, something like that, that we would potentially be able to utilize not only for our own personal internal use, but obviously to go after those abatement dollars in the future. I did check on the pricing, so they would only charge us about $3,000 to do the application. They have not been charging us the last 2 years that we haven't got the grant, so they just want a little bit of money this year administratively to do that. I think we had planned, Mindy, on about $14,000, so it's not going to be quite that much. Then, of course, if we do get awarded, everything management-wise, reporting-wise, that can be paid from out of the grant itself, so we won't have to pay anything more for that. So I wanted to get some direction from you all tonight if that's something that we wanted to pursue just for the assessment portion. I think she said the deadline to submit is like around Thanksgiving, so we have a couple months, but not really the news I wanted to hear as far as the abatement part, but something to consider. So, and that's all I have as far as my report. But yeah, just would love to get some direction on the grant for this year.
The last brownfield grant we received was assessment, correct?
Correct.
So can you give this council examples of where that money was put towards?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did, I think off the top of my head, we did 13 phase 1 assessments and 4 phase 2. Just for example, some of the properties that we were able to do phase 1s were like the Cabby, the Spicy Basil, this property over here off of Taylor on the corner, the industrial park site. I'm trying to think what other ones we did. The distillery was one. I think we might have done a phase 2 on that. I think the Taylor Street property was one of the ones we did a phase 1 and phase 2. Distillery might have been one. But basically it can go, those assessments can be done on properties that don't have to be owned by the city. So private, commercial, whatever. We don't see a whole lot of people just saying, hey, I have a house, a residential house that we need to get an assessment done on, but we could do it. Part of the planning that they did as well, so they did kind of that South Yampa concept for the potential for the depot down there. They did put a concept together for the north side of Yampa as well. So that's just an example of some of the planning part of it that they can do too. Did some of the initial planning work for the industrial park. Ryan, I don't know if they did anything for Alice Pleasant that came out of Brownfields or anything like that, or if that was a separate deal, but those are just some examples of other things they can do outside of the assessments.
So since we've been turned down twice now, if we do it again, do we need to know in advance specific properties or specific ideas, or?
Yeah, they do it more so for areas. Okay. So the targeted area that we've been going after the last 2 years has been the South Yampa area, kind of the depot area. And I think more of that industrial side as well, like even more south of that. From what I was told today, we were like 1 point off from being eligible to receive it. So, and also one of the things apparently that got us knocked out was one of the criteria was if we had received a grant from 2017 to the current timeline. So that knocked us out, I guess, a point or two, but we were really close from what I understand.
Do we have properties that would fit into the phase one, phase two that we want to work on?
Yeah, and that'll be part of the process. So we have a steering committee that will form, and that's really where the priorities kind of come to surface of where we want to target for those phase one and phase twos. So even though in their plan that they submit for the application, we have like a general area, really the steering committee will be the one that says, hey, we want these properties to.
'Cause during budget, we talked with our building official about abatement funds.
Yep.
And he has used those funds in the past to help property owners abate their property because that got the asbestos. We have one property at $70,000, I think it was, to remediate the asbestos. But it's privately owned, but they don't, you know, we would take possession of that. Could we use the funds to mitigate that property?
I think as long as it's city-owned, well, I know as long as it's city-owned. I mean, obviously for this application cycle, since we don't have the requirements that they need as far as like a phase one and phase two on that property, it wouldn't be eligible. But I did speak with Marlon this morning and asked him if any of the properties that we had discussed at budget last week were city-owned, that we could try to apply towards this. This was before I knew that you had to have all the phase one and phase twos, but he said no, we didn't have anything really that, right now, that was city-owned.
I don't know, let's sit out another year.
I think we've used the assessment dollars,
Yeah,
though.
we have.
I don't.
And
Well, I was gonna say, if we had, that's what my first question was, do we have that area identified where we're gonna try to spend the money on?
And we had 3 years to spend the 300,000 and we spent it in like 18 months. I mean, we got it spent pretty quick.
And particularly if we're doing a depot plan, basic depot plan through what Danny's doing through the CDOT, if we could tie it in with that area, which needs to be redone.
Yeah.
I don't see why not. $3,000 isn't a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is consensus? Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, and this will be 500,000 this year.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you.
And I missed saying that you did a presentation to the fire district, thank you, but you and Angela did an outstanding job. Presented URA where there was very few questions, so thank you, Shannon.
Sure.
Okay, where are we up to? Economic Finance Director Mindy Elliott to present finance report for August 2025.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Your packets contain the financials through August 31st, so we'll just do a quick run-through of those. The first up is the countywide sales tax. As you can see, these are the sales through July. We're always a month behind. Right now, compared to 2024 actuals, we're down a little over 47,000, and compared to 2025 budget, we're down a little over 37,000. On the city sales tax, again, through July sales, compared to 2024 actuals, we're up to a little over 206,000, and compared to 2025 budget, we're up over 307,000. The next slide is the graph. Again, seeing same things we've seen pretty much all year through July. Most categories are pretty even, and we still are up on the marijuana sales. Next is revenues from water sales. This is through now August sales. Compared to 2024 actuals, we're up over 261,000. And compared to 2025 budget, we're up over 140,000.
Indy, I'm sorry to interrupt you here. Marijuana sales, there's a significant difference there. Is there a reporting issue there?
I'm not sure. I just thought about that today. I'm going to see if I can pull something from the state site and see if maybe something is not categorized correctly. When businesses are set up, they assign them a category, so there's a potential that maybe something on the state side is not.
Okay, because we hear everywhere in the state marijuana sales
Down.
are down.
Yeah.
But, and then we're showing what, $106,000 to $280,000 difference, so.
Yeah, I'll have an answer for us at the next
Sorry.
council meeting. I'll take a look at that. So we just covered water, so on wastewater, through August, compared to 2024 actuals, we're up over 263,000, and to 2025 budget, up over 21,000. On construction dumpsters, through August, compared to 2024 actuals, we're down just slightly at $89, and compared to 2025 budget, we are up over 25,000. On sales from collections, through August 2024 actuals, we're up over 92,000, and compared to 2025 budget, we're up over 34,000. And on land fees, 2024 actuals were up over 20,000, and we are the same for the 2025 budget. Now we'll move on to the fund summaries. In the general fund, beginning fund balance was $23,380,491. We've added revenues through August of $9,832,293. We have expenditures of $8,183,825, and capital expenditures of $2,179,509, for an ending fund balance through August of $22,849,450. The next sheet is a breakout of the detailed revenue, so you can see where we're standing through with taxes, licenses, intergovernmental. Again, that adds up to the $9,832,293 that was on the added revenues on the general fund. Next is our capital funds project. Beginning fund balance was $521,933. Added revenues of $167,363. Expenditures of $134,398, and an ending fund balance through August of $554,898. And next is the museum fund. Beginning fund balance $522,879. Added revenues of $468,310. Expenditures of $431,152, and an ending fund balance through August of $560,036. As a side note, the 3% additional marijuana tax through the July sales has yielded $43,196.17 to each the museum and to the library. As you know, the ballot caps that amount at $100,000, and we did reach that in August. So when we present the September financials, you'll see the $50,000 transfer to the museum and then $50,000 to the library. That does go to the voters in November, hopefully for continuation, that will have no sunset and no cap. Next is the water fund. Beginning fund balance of $7,432,157. Revenues of $3,261,161. Expenditures of $4,153,030. And ending fund balance of $6,540,288. And our wastewater fund, beginning fund balance $3,674,147. Revenues of $2,016,558. Expenditures of $1,125,584, for an ending fund balance of $4,565,121. And next is our solid waste fund. Beginning fund balance $1,718,539. Revenues of $1,506,479. Expenditures of $1,084,475. And an ending fund balance of $2,140,543. And our medical benefits fund, beginning fund balance $537,341. Revenues of $1,946,552. Expenditures of $1,942,587, with an ending fund balance of $541,305. And our housing authority, beginning fund balance $678,629. Revenues of $5,368. expenditures of $2,988,459, giving us a negative ending fund balance of $2,304,462. Kira, beginning fund balance, $167,765, revenues of $387, expenditures of $2,886, and an ending fund balance of $165,267. The next slide is our Color Trust balance, or a statement. Through the end of August, our balance is $28,072,275.54. And the next slides are C-Safe. Last month, their site was down, so we didn't have the July statement, so that is included in here. End of July, our balance was $220,075.96. And then the August ending fund balance was $220,904.90. And then the last slides in your deck are the capital outlay through the end of August. And does anybody have any questions?
Nope. Thank you. Okay, moving, closing remarks and informational items. I'll just say one thing here. I recognize free speech. When you're from our community members, I just ask to keep it civil and respectful. With that said, adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
What was that? All right, Councilman Tucker made a motion to adjourn, seconded by Councilman Duran. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.